Welcome back to my YouTube channel all about VLSI. In this video, we are going to discuss about UVM phases. Let us try to understand what is mean by these phases, why we are using them and how we are using them. So basically each test bench component is derived from UVM component that we already know, and that has a predefined phases. So basically the driver, the monitor and the scoreboard, everything we are deriving from the UVM components, and those parent components have already the predefined phases. Okay. And they are represented as callback methods, hence the user may implement these callbacks. Okay, it's optional. If you want to implement, you can implement them. There is no compulsion, but if we implement them, we can achieve the synchronization. How we are achieving the synchronization and how this particular phases is making our job easy, that we are going to see. So basically each component cannot move to the next UVM phase unless the current phase execution is completed for all the components. Okay, so basically we will have 9 phases. So after completing each phase, after completing that particular phase, then only we will go to the next phase. Until the completion of the current phase, you cannot go to the next phase. So this is providing a proper synchronization between all the components. So UVM phases are executed in certain order and are all virtual methods. Okay, so that we will see what is the order, and few phases that consume simulation time for execution and are implemented as tasks, that we already know. Tasks are used whenever there is a consumption of some simulation time, and functions are used whenever if we want to execute any logic within zero simulation time. And that is what we are going to follow that. Yes, so let us first see what are the phases which are present and what we are going to see. So basically the phases are classified into three types. One is build phases, which are used for configuring and constructing the test bench, and followed by runtime phases. So these are basically your tasks. So this runtime phases are basically our tasks which we are going to use, so because they need some time to execute. And followed by cleanup phases. Basically they are used for collecting and report the result of our simulation time. So the first type of phases which we have is our build phases. Basically these are used for constructing a test bench and they are necessary for building component object first, and then they are connected from a hierarchy. So the build phases are categorized into build phase, connect phase and end of elaboration phase. So these are the first three phases. This come under the category of build phases. So first is build phase, connect phase and end of elaboration phase. Okay, coming to the build phase, each and every component is going to have this particular build phase. So all the order of execution of this build phases is from top to bottom in the hierarchy. So the top component which is having this build phase is going to execute first, followed by the bottom phases. And connect phases, these are going to execute from bottom to top, and end of elaboration phases also, they are going to be executed from bottom to top. Basically these build phases are necessary for building component objects, and they are connected from hierarchy. So if we want to understand what exactly this build phase is, so coming to the build phase, it is a function we have already seen, and this build or this is used to build or create the test bench component. The build phase is used for creating the test bench component, and the execution approach is from top to bottom. Coming to connect phase, it is also a function because it should be executed within zero simulation time. And this connect phase is used for connecting different test bench components using TLM port mechanism. This particular TLM port mechanism we are going to discuss in our upcoming sessions, and the approach is from bottom to top. Okay, and followed by end of elaboration phase. So before the simulation starts, this phase is used to make any final adjustments to the structure, configuration or connectivity of the test bench, and this is also used for displaying UVM topology, and the order of execution is from bottom to top. So let us try to understand this with an example, how this is exactly working. So let me draw one example for this. So let's say we have a driver, and let's say we have a monitor. So these are our two components in our test bench which we are having. This is our driver and this is our monitor. Okay, and let's say this driver and monitor are wrapped inside one more component, that is our agent component. Now this agent component is wrapped inside another component which is known as our environment, and finally environment inside our test. So this is what we are going to develop now, and let's understand how these phases are working and how they are executing. So I've opened my EDA playground. In this EDA playground, I'm going to execute this test bench example. So first let me include my libraries, include UVM underscore macros.svh and import UVM underscore package. Now let me develop my driver class. So class driver, it should be extending from my UVM driver, and then only you can utilize this phase. If it is not extending from your parent class, then you cannot utilize these phases because these phases are present in the components. Okay, so followed by class driver extends UVM driver. Now I will register my component UVM underscore component underscore utils driver, and I should write my function new also. Name is equal to driver comma UVM component parent, and I should pass it super.new of name comma parent, and followed by end function and end class. Okay, and same like this I will create my monitor class. So let me copy this and paste it over here. So let me change the name. So my class name is monitor, which is extending from UVM monitor, and let me change the name here also, monitor. Okay, so I've created my monitor class also, and same let me create my another class which is known as my agent. Okay, so let me create my agent class also, agent, which is extending from UVM agent, and let it, the name is agent. Okay, so this is my agent class, and let me create my environment class also. So environment UVM underscore environment, and my class name is environment. Yes, and afterwards I need my test class, which is extending from UVM underscore test, and the class name is test, and here I will write it down test. Okay, that's it. So let me create a top module, which is going to within an initial beginning block, I'm going to use a construct which is known as run underscore test, and I'm going to pass the test name followed by end module. So basically this run underscore test is a method which is required to call from the static part of the test bench. So it should be called from the static part of the test bench, and this will trigger the UVM test bench. So it is usually called in the initial block from the top level test bench module. So the run underscore test method called to construct the UVM environment root component and then initiates the UVM phasing mechanism. So if we call this run underscore test, then this phasing mechanism will be activated. So just simple code which I have written. Now let me add build phases in my driver phase, in my monitor phase, in my agent phase, and in my environment and test. Okay. So generally this build phase is used for creating the objects and for passing the configuration DB. So the configuration DB we haven't seen yet. So just for now I will create a simple void build phase. So for writing your build phase, the syntax is function void build phase. So build phase is a return type is void, and it is expecting one argument which is known as UVM phase. It is of type UVM phase, and the argument, let's say it is phase. Okay, so it is a virtual function which is present in the UVM driver. All the UVM components contains this particular build phase. So it is a virtual function. So we are overriding the virtual function which is already present in the parent class, and I'm passing it UVM phase of phase. Now I will write a display function, info function. So build phase called from driver component comma UVM underscore low. So what is this UVM underscore low? What is this UVM underscore info? Everything we are going to discuss in our upcoming sessions. So please stay tuned. So just simply I've overridden my build phase which is present in my UVM driver. I'm writing my function, and I'm passing the phase, and this particular function is expecting an argument of type UVM phase. I'm passing it. Okay, and I'm just printing UVM info. This is for printing purpose. Okay, this we will discuss in our upcoming sessions. What is UVM low, UVM high, UVM medium? These are your flags. Okay, that we will discuss. No worry. Just for now, understand that we are just displaying the things. Okay. Now let me copy this function and let me paste it in other components also. So build phase called from monitor component, and let me paste it here also. Build phase called from agent component, and in the agent I'm going to create my uh, driver and monitor handles. So let me have driver and monitor handles. Let me declare them driver drvh and monitor monh. Okay, so if you observe, agent is having agent. If you observe in the diagram which we have drawn, agent was having your driver and monitor components. So agent should create this particular components, right? So in the build phase of your agent, we are creating them. How we are going to create? Using the factories create method, we are going to create them. Driver h driver type id create drvh comma this, and we are going to create it for the monitor also. Monitor type id create, and we should pass the handle name comma this. So we have created these two components followed by end function. Yes, so simply we have created the instances of my driver and monitor. Now coming to the environment build phase, uh, we are creating the instance of my agent. So let me declare. So let me create my agent instance. Agenth is equal to agent type id create of my agent comma this. So I've created my agent instance also in my environment. So environment is having your agent instance, so that's why I've created the instance. Now test, in the test build phase, we will create the environment instance. Okay, so let me create, and here build phase from environment component is called environment component. So let me first paste the build phase, and in this build phase call from environment component, and in the environment in that sorry in the, from the test component. Okay, this is environment and this is test, and environment is going to have your test is going to have environments handle. So we are going to write envh, and we are going to create the environments instance. So envh, which is equal to environment type id create envh comma this. Okay, so we have created the environments instance in the test. Okay, that's it. So let me save this first and let me run. So let us see how let us see the order of execution. Here it is agent, and this is in UVM low. It is in capital letters, not in small letters. UVM low. Let me copy this, and yes, so this is our console which we have got. So build phase called from test component, and build phase called from environment component, and build phase called from agent component, and build phase called from driver, build phase called from monitor. Okay, so if you see, the test component build phase was called first, followed by environment, agent, driver, monitor. So this is how your build phase is going to be executed from top to bottom. Now coming to next phases in our list, is connect phase. So basically this connect phase is used for connecting different testbench components using TLM port mechanisms. So we haven't seen TLM port mechanisms yet, but just like your build phase, we are just going to write your templates so that we can see how the execution, what is the order of execution which is happening. So TLM ports, after discussing them, we will see how to connect them using the connect phase. So for now, just we will write a simple template. So in all the components, function void connect phase, UVM phase is my argument which is expected by the function, and super dot connect phase, and I'm going to pass the argument phase. And here I'm going to have my connection logic. Okay, not exactly here, in the agent we are going to have. Okay, so just for showing you the order of execution I'm writing this. Okay, and let me write down the connection phase is being called from the driver. So it is connect phase, and connect phase is called from driver component. Okay, let me copy this whole function and paste it over in other classes also, and my environment and in my test. Yes, so let me save this, and let me make some changes. So connect phase called from test component, and the connect phase is called from environment component, and the connect phase is called from monitor, and connect phase is called from driver. Sorry, this is monitor, this is driver, monitor, and this is agent, and this is my environment and test. Okay, so let me save this and run it again. Yes, so this is our console result. So build phase has been executed. After completing build phases, then our connect phase has been started. So connect phase from driver. So if you see, we are going from bottom to top. So first driver has been built, driver connect phase has been called, next monitor connect phase has been called, next agent. Okay, afterwards environment, afterwards test. So we are going from bottom to top. Okay, whereas in the case of build phases we were coming from top to bottom, and in the case of your connect phases we are going from bottom to top. So this is how your connect phase is going to work. Next is end of elaboration phase. So this end of elaboration phase, it is going to be started before the simulation starts, and this phase is used to make any final adjustments to the structure configuration, and we can also print the UVM topology. So let me show you how to print the topology. So using the end of elaboration phase, we are going to build the topology. So let me write down the function. So for printing the topology, we need to write the topology printing from the test class, okay, or the top class which we are having in our test bench. So test is our top module which in our test bench. So let me write down function, and this is also a void function, and the name is end of elaboration phase, and it is also expecting the same argument. Now super dot end of elaboration phase of phase, I am passing my phase, and now here I am going to call UVM underscore top dot print underscore topology followed by end function. Okay, and if you want to know the order, if you want to see the order, let me copy this and paste it in all the functions. Before that I will write the display function. So it is end of elaboration phase call from test component. Okay, so for just knowing the order of how this particular phase is being executed, I'm going to copy and paste it in all the components. So this is my test, I've already pasted, and this is my environment. I will remove the topology printing here, and just it is end of elaboration phase called from environment component. Okay, and let me copy and paste it in agent, and here it is called from agent component, and my monitor, it is being called from my monitor component. and followed by my driver. So it is also being called from my driver. Okay, yes, so let me save this and run this. Let's see what is happening. Yes, so we can see first build phases has been executed, followed by connect phases has been executed. Next, end of elaboration phase has been called. So end of elaboration phase, it is getting called from the driver. That is, it is also following bottom to top approach. So end of elaboration phase from driver, monitor, agent, environment, and in the test it has been called, and your basically the topology has been printed. So test is your top module, and followed by environment, agent, and driver, and it is all it is having your analysis ports and how this ports, and followed by monitor. Okay, so this is your topology that has been printed. Okay, so this is how you are going to use your end of elaboration phase.